All right, welcome back everybody. We are on number 4 of our painting Badab Space Marine series here. I've included this Lamenter, which I've painted earlier, before this project even started. And I think he just looks really cool. I really liked doing the yellow on him. But he is sort of midway transitioning into being an Alpha Legion. I don't know if this really counts as a Lamenter alone, but we're going to say that it was, because although I really like this method of painting yellow, and we'll go over it once we do get to another yellow chapter, it was a lot of work. And so that meant that it took me a long time, and it was very frustrating. So hopefully, maybe by the end, we'll come back around and we'll be able to really see that. But I think I did a pretty good job with this one. This is my first time trying something like that, and it worked out really well. So we've got this lovely Marine here. We have our Mantis Warrior, which also turned out really well. Once everything dried, I really like that dark, gritty look. And then, of course, we have the first one here that you guys saw, and it's going to be that original Astral Claw. Again, the Astral Claw symbol there. Not my best, but also kind of cool that it was my first freehand on a shoulder pad, and I can kind of tell what I was going for with it. So today we're going to go ahead and get started on a Firehawk. So the first of the Loyalists during the Badab Wars. These three here, the Astral Claws, the Mantis Warriors, and the Lamenters were the sort of traitor side, I guess you could say. But then they did get reinforcements later on from the Executioners chapter, which we will get to. But these are the three originals. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the Firehawks, who were actually one of the first Loyalist chapters to respond to the threat. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get this guy on the painting handle, and we will start with a base coat. All right, so the Firehawks are a red and yellow color scheme. And they're mostly red, so we're going to base coat them with red through the airbrush, and then we're going to have to use that yellow to pick out those details. All right, let's go ahead and get after it. We've got this loaded up with some Mephiston red. All right, so I think I'm going to actually not use the Avalanche Sunset. It's just a little bit too brown for what the Firehawks look like they have. So I think I might end up going with about a 50-50 mix of this Canary Yellow, which is really bright. It's not quite as bright as you guys are seeing it there on camera, but I'm going to mix that with this Candlelight Yellow, both from Reaper Bones, and just do a 50-50 mix of that and see sort of where it takes us, because again, this is just got a lot of that dark, earthy sort of ochre almost to it, and it's just going to make it real difficult to brighten back up, I think. We'll start with this, and then we'll see where we end up. So we're going to just sort of get some thin coats on here. These are all watered down anyways. And it looks like it's mainly going to be the shoulder pads that are going to have a lot of this paint, some of the knee pads, part of the helmet, and the bottoms of their like shin armor. So we'll get all this base coated up, and then we'll kind of let you know where we're at from there. All right, we have layer 1.5 down on a lot of these parts. Tried to already start kind of freehanding the knee there with some flames. The bottoms of those legs are also going to have some flames on them down there. I'm starting to realize this guy kind of looks like a McDonald's Marine with all the red and the yellow, but I think it'll end up working out pretty good. All right, we got some Black Templar contrast paint here, and we're just going to again, do what we normally do and just kind of send it in there. Again, we're gonna make some mistakes here. No problemo. It's gonna kind of run around. All right, we've got a Mephiston red. We can easily fix these mistakes. So we're just gonna send it in there for now. Let it start drying, and then we'll worry about cleaning it up here later. Gonna go ahead and get some Retributor Armor Gold on the Aquila there in the middle. It's just taken forever for this yellow to dry. I mean, everybody hates yellow for very good reason. It's chalky, it's annoying, it's hard to deal with. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Most yellows, except for Avalanche Sunset, seem like they are just not not very good. And I really don't get why. I mean, I'm sure there is a valid or semi-valid reason for it, but I just don't understand why they all end up being so, like, chalky, watery, like they have no coverage. It frustrates me to no end. But we'll finish up with this Aquila. We'll pick out any other details. And honestly, I think that shoulder trim really is going to be gold as well. But we're going to wait on filling that part in until we have those shoulder pads done for sure. So we're going to go ahead and start to add some of those free-handed flames at the bottom of his shins here. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm literally just going to be sort of dragging this brush up. Might even switch to a smaller brush just because this one has like no point on it at all. So let's switch that smaller brush here. It's going to be a lot more sort of precise, but we're not going to have quite as much paint on the brush at a time, which might help us out actually. So, oh yeah, so much better. And we're gonna have to go over this probably with a second coat. So the smaller brush is gonna really help us stay inside the lines once we come back for, you know, part 2 of applying all of these little areas of freehand. I've got the bolt gun. I'm putting on a layer of black here, and that's about the last major thing that needs to be blocked in with some paint. All right, so I think it's about time to go ahead and get started on these shoulder freehands. Now we're gonna go ahead and start with this shoulder here on the edge, and hopefully everything turns out all right on it. It's gonna end up being a hawk of some sort. But yeah, based on, you know, so the freehand we've done so far with the fire and stuff, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to turn out, but I think the best we can hope for is that it does something here. So let's go ahead and get started. So it looks like it's going to have a little bird head here that comes down with these big swooping wings that come up and over, down, under to here. Nice. And let's see, how are we gonna go from here? Let's see. Maybe we can kind of just do the opposite here. We'll get the bottom of it, which is just like some flames. Get the bottom of that going. Like that. And I'm gonna turn it upside down here again. Not a problem if you have to hold this model real funky when you do your freehands or anything really, anytime. Just if you think it'll help, you hold it upside down, give it a shot and see. Just that. And there's just these little like fire bits that are coming off the bottom on both sides. So we'll try to do that. Whoa. Got a little thick, but that's okay. And then just finish off that tail area again. All right, wow, this actually turned out pretty nice. I like it a lot. So you can definitely kind of tell there's a sort of bird, almost like a Grim Reaper is how it kind of looks to me. I'm not sure, maybe I can fix the beak or the head or something on it, but honestly, I really like how it turned out. Let's go ahead and get some of those red flames going. And it looks like, yeah, there's a pretty solid line of them across the bottom, so we're just gonna kind of go right up here, and we're just gonna start adding in these little stripes. And doesn't look like they go even up really halfway, so can just be tossing these in sort of wherever it looks cool. A little bigger one there, connect it over here, that sort of thing. Yep. Nice. And then like the other one, we're gonna just fill in that bottom area, and we'll touch up any mistakes that we have. All right, so we've got the freehand on this shoulder, around the ankles, on one of the knees, and on this arm over here. But we're missing this knee right here, which is supposed to be another one of these. So I'm gonna try my best to do it nice and small, but this time I don't know how perfect it's gonna end up. All right, well, upon second thought, I don't think I'm gonna end up using the airbrush, so I'm just gonna go and sort of pin wash it here with this sort of detail brush, real small, and we're just gonna go through and try to pick out these details here the best we can. But like you can see here, what ended up happening is it got sort of pushed up, so you can just come in here and just literally blend that down, take some off the brush there, blend it down, and go around the whole model like that with it, right? Just sort of pushing it where you want it, and it'll all go into those recesses and leave a nice little sort of gradient from the edge out to the middle. All right, so I've got some Wild Rider red here, and I've got the base painted. I'm just gonna kind of do a little bit of some edge highlighting, just a tiny little bit. I don't want to go overboard with this, but I do think that it will really help make this model pop because, well, it's the Fire Hawk, so you want it to be, you know, real bright red, or at least I would want this one to be real bright red. And so just a little bit of edge highlighting really goes a long way when it comes to making models seem like you've done a lot more work. And we're not even going in like super hard to reach places. These are all just like raised edges. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing finished off. That base rim's probably gonna need 1 or 2 coats, and then we'll give you any final thoughts here. So the Firehawk was pretty fun. One cool thing about the Firehawks that I didn't know when I was researching them for their color scheme is that they are actually no longer a chapter. They have been lost to the warp. After the Badab Wars, they had another conflict that they were involved in 30 or so years later, and when they were coming back, they were heading home on a journey that was supposed to only take about 12 hours, but yeah, they never arrived, and then no one ever found contact with them, so they were considered to be lost to the warp. And another really cool aspect is that some speculate that they could be where the Legion of the Damned comes from, which makes sense because look at those fire effects. I mean, like a flaming phoenix, perhaps rising from the ashes, maybe is something that maybe they were going for that. I don't know. Maybe that's not actually real. It is just a fan theory, or it is just a theory rather. But it's kind of a cool theory to think about, is that, you know, their flames sort of inverted, their armor became black, and the Emperor maybe saved them from the warp, but couldn't bring them fully back to life, so instead they exist as the Legion of the Damned, showing up to battles when needed and when the consequences are most dire. But I'll throw a picture of the finished model up here for you guys to see, but otherwise, we will catch you next time. Peace out. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to see more.